What's good? This is Kareem from DJBooth.net, and I'm here in the lab to give you guys a quick rundown video review of the new Allen & Heath Xone K1 professional DJ controller. It's also compact and it's very modular, so it is almost like having a blank canvas because you are allowed to customize the mappings for all of the different buttons, knobs, and faders that you guys see right here on the face of the unit. So it's really meant for anyone who needs any type of MIDI controller for any type of software, maybe not even just DJ software. It can also be used for software such as light controllers for DMX programming and for switching on and off your lights. It can also be used for performing or DAW style production software, anything that you can use to map these type of controls to. But it really specialized for DJs, and it works really well with the tractor mapping that's provided on the Allen & Heath website. And there's also a mapping provided for Ableton, so that way you can use this in a performance type capacity. And then there's also a mapping for Mix Vibes, which is a really nice separate type of software for DJs that is starting to find a lot of traction within the DJ community. So there's mappings for all types of different DJ software. You can also find your own mappings, most likely online someplace if you just do a quick Google search, and you'll find different mappings for the Xone K1. The K1 is very similar to the Xone K2 that came out a few years ago. It's actually almost the same exact makeup of this controller. The only real differences are that the K2 controller has the additional sound card inside, so that way you can plug in inputs and outputs directly into the unit, and it also had the ability to layer the controls. So instead of a shift function that you see here, there was a layer button here, and that layer button allowed you to change the entire mapping of the controller up to 3 different layers. So on this controller you only have 1 mapping per button, and then you have of course your shift function, but you don't have any real big layering like we did in the K2. So the K2 costs a little bit more than the K1, and most users don't need an internal sound card on their controller. They just need a control surface that they can program. But the K2 is there just in case users really want to set up most of their inputs and outputs along with the K1. The only controls or inputs and outputs that you have on this are your K-Link or your X-Link for different K or Xone K and DB devices. That way you can link them together and share a common USB port, so you only have one single USB port to your computer, and the other 2 is an in and out, so you can link these together as many as you need. Furthermore, there are lots and lots of buttons on here, but before we talk about that, let's talk about the construction. The overall construction is very good. All of the different knobs for the actual encoders are nutted down to the metal surface. There's a metal top surface here. There's also a little bit of metal on the sides and a nice rubberized coated ring on the sides as well. It's very lightweight. And then you have of course some of the plastic in the construction as well to save on your weight. It's very solid. It's built very nicely. It's right on par with the other Allen & Heath Xone offerings that are out there on the market today. So for controls, you get your buttons at the bottom, your 4x4 pad that's familiar to most DJ software and most production style software. These different pads do not have RGB backlit. They are not multicolored. It's just one solid color that they go on and off with. So that's one of my minor gripes with the unit. You do have a lot of customizable options with the K1, but you don't have like an RGB style pads here, so you can't just look down and at a glance know exactly what you're doing with the buttons unless you remembered what they're there for instead of like a visual indicator. But at least you get to see when you do hit them, and they do react really well. They have a center click to them, so you can feel when they're actually been touched and are going to act on whatever you want it to do. So they're really good for drumming. Even though they are on the smaller style side, they're still really good for drumming, and they still work really well for that purpose as well. You have your endless encoders here at the bottom that can be programmed to whatever you like. Then you have your 4 faders. Your faders are somewhat like the faders on old mixing consoles, so they're push style. They're not really grab style like how they are on the mixers. That's one of my minor gripes here, because I like the mixer style, grab style faders as opposed to these push style faders that are on here, but they still work and serve their purpose. Then you have another 4 rows of buttons. At the top you have your 4 endless encoders, and then at the first 3 rows you have the knobs that turn from 0 to 100%. They have a definite stopping point. So you can map this any way you guys see fit, any way you guys really need. It really works well with the Tractor Pro 2 mapping that is online, available at the Allen and Heath website. We used it with the Remix Dex controls and they worked really nicely. Again, it's a really modular controller. It's really nice for those who really want something custom and they want to make it their very own and to work how they really want it to work, using the MIDI mappings and your own custom style MIDI mappings to make it do exactly what you want it to do. Really nice modular setup. It works really well with the Xone 23C that you guys see we have here alongside of it. We're going to do this review. We should have that out for you guys by tomorrow. And this also comes with Mix Vibes LE already, and it's a really nice combination to use the two together, because that way you can use the mixer to mix and you can use the controller to control all your other software functions that you need. So, in conclusion, the K1 controller is a really nice modular solution for anyone who needs a customizable group of buttons, knobs, and faders and controls to control the software of your choice. There are lots of mappings already available for you on the Allen and Heath website. You have really good construction. It's really solid, but it's also lightweight, and it also is very robust, meaning you have controls for everything that you're going to need here right there for your software. You also have your X-Link on the back of the device. That way you can just plug in multiple Xone K devices or DB mixers, and you can have full control with just one single USB port allocated from your computer. On the downside, the buttons that are used here do not have RGB, so you won't know at a glance what your capabilities are with the buttons, because you can't really program different colors in. And the faders are also the push style faders instead of the grab style DJ faders that I'm really familiar with. Other than that, you got a really robust system. It's really compact, it's really nice, and it just does the job really well. So for more on the review summary, you guys can head on over to www.djbooth.net/DJS. Thanks for watching.
Totally simplified by the way you lie. You're always there at the right time. I might feel alive only for tonight. See, I don't know, but it feels right. You make it harder